What if the unspoken maneuvers in the shadows of Chase Center are quietly scripting either the rebirth or the unraveling of Dub Nation's next era? Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. Now, let's peel back the layers on the Jonathan Kuminga saga, because the silence from Golden State isn't just a pause. It's a brewing storm of front office chess, cap gymnastics, and high-stakes gambits that might just reshape the dynasties. Immediate future. Here's the bombshell you haven't been hearing from every corner. A fresh suitor emerged for Kuminga in the tense and convoluted sign-and-trade market. And according to sources, yes, the beleaguered Suns have made a push. That's right, the Phoenix Suns, a team that recently freed themselves of Bradley Beal's massive contract via buyout and waive and stretch provisions, are now tentatively dangling their hat in the Kuminga ring, hoping to leverage cap space. Tightly wound under the luxury tax threshold. This isn't some casual whisper. Folks, Jake Fisher's reporting confirms the Suns have officially contacted both Kuminga's camp and the Warriors' front office, signaling genuine interest in exploring a deal that would require Golden State to receive tangible assets in return. But make no mistake, this is no simple swap. With Phoenix sitting just $2.1 million under the luxury tax line and a complex roster that features new pieces like Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks, the Suns' front office faces a balancer's nightmare. How do they offer enough salary to match Kuminga's looming multi-year deal, which is projected somewhere in the $15 to $25 million range, without tipping over the tax aprons that regulate mega deals and crippling penalties? Their financial tightrope walk has kicked up all kinds of questions about which players they could realistically put on the table. Could they part ways with Brooks? Unlikely, given his fit or misfit with a defensive powerhouse like Draymond Green. Would Green and Kuminga coexist on the floor? Possibly not harmonious enough to justify such a trade, especially when the Suns desperately want to maintain roster stability after KD's departure and Bell's buyout drama. And let's not overlook Grayson Allen, who's flashed some three-point shooting moments, but whose role likely won't move the needle enough to sweeten a sign-in trade that the Warriors would agree to. Jalen Green is off limits in rumors, locked tight by Phoenix's ambitions. And that leaves the Warriors staring at a roster of cast-off pieces that hardly inspire confidence for a blockbuster deal. Digging deeper into the Warriors' perspective reveals more layers. The team desperately needs a reliable backup point guard as Steph Curry carries an ever-growing burden, and whispers of Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook returning have floated home like distant thunder. Yet the reality remains murky at best. Could Ben Simmons, with his size and defensive versatility, slide into that backup point guard role? Some fans are hoping for the chance, but how realistic is that amid the noisy NBA rumor mill? Meanwhile, across the league, Summer League action is playing out in Las Vegas, with the Warriors currently sitting 2-1 solid, but short of championship contention, and facing a likely consolation game that draws little glory but signals developmental priorities are still in motion. The relentless grind of roster construction is alive and well as we juggle all this news with the stark reality that free agency has already started to slim the options significantly. A slew of key veteran players who could have plugged gaps like Al Horford and others have mostly landed elsewhere or are inching toward retirement decisions that stir no immediate hope for Golden State. There's also Anthony Melton, a tantalizing potential returnee after a brutal ACL injury, who reminds us of last season's brief but brilliant backcourt duo with Curry before the injury struck. Yet, questions loom. Will Melton's recovery be full and fast enough? Is he willing to come back on a team balancing cap space with championship aspirations? Beyond Melton, the free agent market feels cold, and hollow players like Josh Giddy, although talented and young, seem locked in murky negotiation limbo with their current teams, which could open a door of opportunity for sign-and-trade creative deals. But chances still feel slim. The Warriors are in a precarious position where they might have to place faith in Kuminga betting on himself potentially signing a 1-year qualifying offer or, more realistically, a shorter 2-year deal since with the clubhouse core of Curry, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins, with a player option that keeps options open for the future. This patient chess match fuels questions that run deeper than a simple contract. Could this be the silent pivot moment that eclipses even the seismic shifts of the KD era? Are the Warriors poised to reimagine their identity or inch unknowingly toward a new kind of challenging rebuild? And as the Suns tread carefully with their roster, the Warriors hold tight, eyes darting between potential trade pieces and the looming free agent wasteland. It all circles back to the eternal question that haunts every Dub Nation fan. If Jonathan Kuminga slips through the cracks, who realistically remains to fill that raw, explosive potential? And if Kuminga stays, how does the patchwork mosaic of Warriors contracts and player roles transform to make that fit pristine, or will it crack under pressure? With only scant moves on the board in Summer League showing promise but little assurance, Dub Nation's collective heart pounds, with a restless anticipation that refuses to be silenced. As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my pulse is racing just writing this, my mind grappling with the interplay of drama and hope that always defines these off-seasons. But is this the spark that reignites our dynasty or the crack that fractures our legacy? Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand. If your post just spiked thinking about Kuminga walking away or that whispered Suns trade rattling the foundation of our dynasty, vent it hard in the comments. This is the moment where silence screams and every word counts. Now, hold on to that swelling chaos, because this off-season saga isn't just simmering. It's erupting like the roar inside Chase Center after a Curry dagger in OT. This isn't a typical wait-and-see summer. It's a defining fracture point, a greasy pivot where every whispered meeting, every cap maneuver, and every stubborn front office stare could blow up everything we thought the Warriors would look like in the next 5 years. Let's be brutally honest. The last decade of near-mythical dominance, the sleepless nights watching Steph Curry threes rain like shooting stars, the thunderous steals and gobsmacking D from Draymond, the ultimate trust in Kerr's genius, it's all on a knife edge now. Because as the Kuminga talks drag on with that cold Phoenix intrigue crackling beneath the surface, the real question sears through every fan's mind. Are we standing on the verge of rebirth or collapse? This isn't about one player anymore. It's about the fragile alchemy of Golden State's identity unraveling or reforging. Imagine the weight-crushing Draymond still fiery, still our emotional core, but watching his role shrink with every new injection of youth or desperate rookie spark. How does a locker room led by a warrior like him hold together if Kuminga rides out a sign-and-trade elsewhere or peppers the palace with his own demands? And what about Steph? Our ageless wizard, still hitting impossible shots, but carrying the flavor and the fatigue of a decade-long crusade that even Curry probably didn't fully grasp before it began. At what point does the crown feel less like gold and more like a shackle? The dynamic between Steph's longevity and the front office's orchestration of fresh blood in Kuminga, Moody, and Wiseman is more volatile than it's ever been, because this time there's no obvious blueprint for next. The age-old mantra of drafting, developing, and letting the crucial pieces organically click is being tested against the brutal realities of an NBA salary cap with teeth like a steel trap and rival teams circling with fresh vultures' eyes. Right now, the heavens are dark with uncertainty. The Suns are dangling in the merciless light of cap constraints and promising pieces. Green's untouchable for Phoenix's storyline, but could he be the piece that forces Golden State into a corner? A corner where the Warriors have to gamble on a patchwork roster, and the gamble always demands sacrifices. Could we lose Kuminga for a package that's great on paper, but hollow in spirit? What if the Warriors front office finally pulls the pose? Trigger on some internal player movement, shifting pieces like Moses Moody or even Andrew Wiggins, who has been a Swiss Army knife in this squad, but whose game occasionally disappears like a thief in the night, to make room for a backup point. guard who may never materialize. The role that Ben Simmons' name fills in every rumor mill is like a mirage too good to be true, too complicated to ever be honest. And yet, the scrappy hope lingers that a defensive titan with point guard chops could return some balance too. A team that too often finds Curry and Wiggins battling an exhausting duel against the clock and opposing defenses. It's a high-wire act without a net, and the Warriors faithful are holding their collective breath with every day that passes in suspicious silence. Even Melton's potential comeback reads like a thriller subplot will his ACL recovery unfold. Fast enough to electrify the bench while giving Steph the breather he desperately needs. Will the front office risk betting on that health return over immediate, costlier options? Or do the numbers force their cold hand yet again? Beneath this deck of ever-shifting possibilities, the Summer League, a purgatory of hope and disappointment, is a subtle but relentless heartbeat keeping the narrative alive. Watching Moody slice through defenses, or Kuminga showcase flashes hinting at the 2022 draft hype still burning within him, reminds us just how thin the margin is between sensation and stagnation. Like a wounded warrior gasping but refusing to yield, these glimpses offer a cruel tease. A reminder that growth is possible, but it could also be heartbreak close enough to shatter your soul. And all this unfolding while the rest of the league keeps accelerating. Young teams are evolving, contenders rebuilding, and windows opening even where no one expected them. It's these relentless external pressures that make the Warriors' forthcoming moves feel like more than just basketball decisions. They're epic, narrative pivot points that threaten to rewrite the franchise's entire trajectory. Picture this. What if Kuminga leaves in a sign-and-trade to Phoenix, adding a new dimension to their spine and pushing Golden State into a rebuild disguised as a retool? What if that sale transforms Kuminga from a raw, splash-era beacon into a middling cog in the Suns' wheels and leaves the Warriors scrambling for replacements that never quite fill the void? Or conversely, what if Kuminga stays, embraces that uncertain 2-year offer with a player option, and suddenly we've got a new splash threat percolating beneath the radar, right alongside Steph's infinite magic and Wiggins' tough grit? Could the front office manage the salary ballet to finally snag a true backup point guard and a defensive wing to plug gaping holes? The very notion ignites a frenzy of possibilities. Rival fans may whisper, decline, but Dub Nation's pulse could roar back stronger than ever if that chemistry clicks. But let's not kid ourselves. This isn't a fairy tale draft and develop anymore. This is war, financial war, mental war, emotional war. The Warriors' window isn't just a door anymore. It's a crack in the fortress walls. Every single move this summer resonates louder than a thunderous Chase Center crowd erupting in unison. And the coaching staff? Steve Kerr's brilliance doesn't have a reset button. These off-court silent struggles will bleed into on-court execution, from the timing of rotations to who shoulders the clutch minutes when titles are on the line. One misstep, one lost player amid this cap chest, or a disillusioned star can cascade into a season of frustration that echoes from Oakland to San Francisco like a ghost chant. I hear the questions bubbling from the fan forums, the Twitter breakdowns, the heated Discord camps. If Kuminga is the future, why risk the trade? If the trade happens, is this really rebuilding, not reloading? Who finally steps up to own the backup PG load? The noise is deafening, and the stakes feel cosmic. As someone who bled blue and gold through every miracle run, every Game 7 heartbreak, every roster shakeup, every parade that felt like destiny on earth, I can feel it deep in my bones. This summer is different. This summer, the Warriors are staring down a fork in the road sharper than any of us expected, and the choice made behind closed doors will echo for seasons. This is either the forge of a new dynasty, steeled by pain, recalibration, and relentless will, or the slow crack before the walls crumble, the rain dilutes, and the once invincible becomes a shadow chasing its former glory. So here's where I throw down my sold up nation. What do you see from this smoldering chessboard? Are you ready to ride Or do we brace for stormy waters ahead? Because this isn't just a conversation, it's our shared heartbeat in the fight for the franchises. Next so. Now drop your hottest takes below no filter. No fear, no holding back. Tell me straight, who wins and who loses when the Kuminga saga reaches its boiling point? I'm locked in the comments, ready to debate, defend, and dream with every last one of you.